Okay, good morning and good afternoon. Thank you for joining. If you're out there in the audience, we want to really, again, put together a compelling conversation. This event is essentially honoring those people who served in the U.S. Armed Forces. So we're using this date and this event to frame the discussion and the celebration of those folks who served our country. So again, thank you, everybody who has served in U.S. Armed Forces. Thank you for your service. We have a distinguished group of individuals coming from the East Coast, the Midwest, and here in Los Angeles to discuss um, their points of view of service, sacrifice, what that means past, present, and future. My goal was really to try to assemble these people so that they can actually talk one to another and have a discourse about what we can do to give our consensus on making sure that everybody has their first chance to look at service as something that they can actually employ in their development moving forward, especially people who are looking to become leaders and become the people who are going to be first in line for job hiring, interviews, so forth and so on. So again, thank you guys for joining us, and I'd love to be able to have everybody introduce themselves. Shane, if you can, once you start with yourself.
All right. Hello, everybody. Dr. Shane Hyman. Very honored to be here. Board advisor with Dakar Foundation for the Performing Arts, also the International University of Entrepreneurology and Next Level Global Technologies. I did not serve in the military. However, I was raised by a father who served in the Marines. My brother also served in the Army, and my grandfather and several cousins served. So I definitely have a special place in my heart for everyone who's done that sacrifice and in that service. And, for me, anything that I could do as far as developing programs and promoting, service in the military branch as well as volunteer service, which helps our economy and helps our country, is something I'm very passionate about. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Shane. And a very special thank you to retired Brigadier General Arnold Gordon Bray. Sir, can you please introduce yourself?
First of all, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
Okay, I'm Arnold Gordon Bray. I'm a graduate of Central Missouri State University. I spent 35 years active service as an infantry airborne ranger. And on Veterans Day, among the several days we honor veterans, it is the most expansive coverage of all that we have. And I extend my congratulations for all those who have served, for those who've come back. And I would remind folks that of all the dates that we celebrate for service members, Memorial Day is that day when they all gave all. And so this day is the one that we celebrate those who raise their right hand with that final potential always in the back of their mind, but they're sacrificing themselves. They're sacrificing themselves and their families. And so this day we celebrate it. And just a reminder, this day is November 11th, and it was designed initially to celebrate what we thought was the war to end all wars, and that was World War I. And if you can imagine for a moment, you have 90% of the world involved in a war. And so when it ends, they thought the war of all wars had ended, and they set it up so it would end at 11 a.m. on the 11th month and the 11th day. And so this was the day, only to realize that in less than 2 decades, we have another war that was larger, and we haven't finished. So in 1972, we changed it from being Armed Forces Day, from being a day to celebrate the end of that war to the recognition that all wars. So in 1972, it became Veterans Day. So this is the day we celebrate every veteran, every person who raised their right hand. And I extend it personally also to the families, just like you, Shoni, the families who also served during this time period, because you do serve, you sacrifice. And to all of you, to our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marine, Coast Guardsmen, and spacemen, and health services, happy Veterans Day.
Thank you, General. Okay, so I guess I'm going to go through the group of people are on the call. Let's go. Drew McClellan, if you can please introduce yourself, sir.
Yes, can you hear me? Can you see me? I can't see myself on the screen.
We got you.
Oh, great.
You're live.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you, Kevin, and thank you all who served and are continuing to serve. My name is Drew McClellan. I'm a adjunct professor at USC School of Cinematic Arts and the chair of the Cinematic Arts Department at the LA County High School for the Arts. So my background and my history is in the arts. And for that, I'm grateful for every veteran out there, for everyone who's served to keep our country safe and allow those who are not in the service to pursue their dreams, pursue their goals, and to make the world better through our own contributions. This is a special day, and no more important than the culture and the time that we're in right now, where it seems like at every moment we're on the verge of another war or conflict. And so to take the time to celebrate, to recognize, and to show love to those who keep us safe and protected and put their own lives and families on the line. There's no bigger sacrifice, and they truly are the superheroes that are walking among us. So thank you for having me, Kevin, and looking forward to a great discussion.
Thank you, Drew. Okay, next we're going to go to Ted Milner.
Hello, everyone. Kevin, thank you for having me. I'm Ted Milner. My father served. I have two brothers that serve, so I'm very thankful for what our military has done and for the life that I've been able to live and the freedom I've been able to have because of their service. I currently run an entertainment employment agency, helping the next generation to launch careers within the entertainment industry. And we've serviced majority of the major studios and networks. And I'm glad to be here, and happy Veterans Day.
All right, thank you, Ted. Oh, got a little echo there. All right. Will Rowe, can you hear us? Okay, Will, you're live.
Can you folks hear me all right?
We got you. Live, video, audio, everything good.
I hope you can. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for this opportunity. I volunteer and support military and military families and veterans. I've done that for over 35 years. These days, I'm volunteering to support the Association of Defense Communities, Blue Star Families, the Patriot Art Foundation, the National Ad Hoc Committee, and here in Northern Virginia, the Community Military and Federal Facility Partnership. We're all focused on supporting our veterans and our military families. And I'm very involved in workforce development in the Northern Virginia region, and I co-chair the Total Military Community Alliance. And I just want to say, yesterday I was very involved in a wonderful event for veterans, teaching veterans art through the Patriot Art Foundation with the Fort Belvoir community. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Will. Okay. Longtime friend, a person who was really important in my understanding of how to bring stories to the marketplace. I'll let him talk a little bit about himself, but then I'll at some point bring back in how we met way back in 1996 at the Atlanta Olympics. I guess you know who I'm talking to and about. Retired Captain Michael Smalls, please introduce yourself.
I thought you were talking about this. Good afternoon from Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you, Kevin. Honored to be among all of you. General Bray, honored. Don't think I've ever been on a, very, very rare air. Thank you for your service. I spent 9 years active, 5 reserve, signal officer, served Asian theater, Middle Eastern theater, and Latin America. And Kevin's right. We met in the 90s. Actually, it was like 94. So we've known each other since 94. I currently, speaking to what this part of what this forum is about, use my military skills to transition over to a civilian career. So I'm a broadcast engineer with live sporting events, major live events right now. Kevin and I have another mutual friend we met through NBC, who was my mentor, and then I brought him into the fold with Kevin. But honored, excited about what Kevin's, talk about resilience and tenacity. I think I've heard the word Dakar for 20 years. So honored and grateful. It's Veterans Day, y'all. So, well, I'm from New York. I learned how to say y'all a lot more recently, but don't want to talk too much. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike. And our common friend is Lou Libin. So, we're in really good company here with Mike Smalls. Next, I want to introduce one of our apprentices. Want to introduce CJ. If you can introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name is CJ Campbell. I'm a project manager at the Dakar Foundation. I'm also known as Swifty McFly when I make music and things like that. I am really grateful for this opportunity to be here. I do have some people in my family that are military. On my mom's side, my uncle, my grand uncle. On my dad's side, I'm not so sure. Admittedly, my dad was pretty like anti-military growing up. Like he wasn't like anti-military, like he hated it. He just told me to never go for some reason. But I am grateful for veterans, for all the sacrifices. I am anti-war, but I am pro, like military enforcement, protection. And to wrap it up, I'm a nerd. So actually, like I love Marine discipline. I studied that. And there's a book on it as well as like Atomic Habits. So when it comes to like habits and knowledge and teamwork and discipline, admittedly, I shout out to the Marines for that because they do their thing. And so yeah, happy Veterans Day, everybody. Shout out the Dakar Foundation. Thank you, Mr. Clark. And yeah, that's me.
All right, thank you, CJ. Okay, and we had a couple of people that dropped. Okay, D. Stevens. D. Stevens, please introduce yourself. I'm going to set D up. And again, I want
to hear me.
We hear you, D. And again, D, you have so much to say, and so much of it is important to me. But we'll ask you to participate in when we talk a little bit more about Jackie Robinson. But D is one of the people who has brought me to a global stage. We've gone to the Cannes Film Festival together. And we learned a lot more about how press and perception of story works, how the marketplace works. So I've learned a lot from D about the business of the entertainment industry. So Dee's family has been in the military service going back to the Buffalo Soldiers. So we have a lot in common, but I want to have Dee introduce himself briefly, and then Dee, you'll come back in and have, again, some point of view about Jackie Robinson's military service. So Dee?
Yeah.
Okay, you're live, bro.
I'm D. Stevens, filmmaker, a photographer. Can you hear me? Okay.
We got you.
Okay. I'm getting a feedback. I'm hearing myself.
Well, you're good on our end, and we're going to do some posts.
I'm good on your end.
Yeah. So
okay.
So start all over again. So just again, keep going as if you don't even hear yourself.
I'm a filmmaker, photographer, and done a lot with the military in terms of traveling with them. Going, I was in Iraq, magazine there. I did a lot of work in Belfast, Music International, but I made a lot of films. And one of the big films I did was 42. Jackie Robinson. Became friends with the Jackie Robinson Foundation. Became friends with Rachel. and shot that, and took Chad, who's our star, over to see certain memorabilia and museums like the Bessie Smith Museum in Atlanta. And I took Chad with Hank Aaron up to Flatbush and photographed him with Hank Aaron talking in front of the big sign since 42. I've been a journalist forever, and my family goes back 1899. My grandfather was a captain in the 10th Cavalry, and he became a lot of awards, a lot of campaigns, down to Spain. And then my father was a USMC Sergeant Major in World War II, and he's buried at my grandfather, Leavenworth. But the main thing was they donated part of our family home into the Richard Allen Museum out of Fort Leavenworth. And if you know the history of Black Buffalo soldiers, that was a pivotal part when they gave the award about this is Buffalo Soldiers' home. But right now, it's totally supporting the military and part of what Jackie did. So what we did with our movies, and I shot 4 Jackie Robinson movies that involved Jackie Robinson. 1 Solo the Game for HBO and 42 for Legendary. But basically, I've been working with Kevin for some time now on this comparison about what Jackie did with the military and how we could use that as the conduit to getting young people involved with what's going on.
Okay. Well,
He being modest. He did so much. He did Tuskegee Airmen as well, Red Tails.
Yeah.
You guys are legends.
So we're gonna give D a chance. We're gonna give D a chance to get busy. We have a 10-person limit right now.
Movies, 300 movies. I started with Boys in the Hood, but before that, I was a journalist for Newsweek International out of London for 9 years. So I went to Uganda, I went to Iraq,
Hey, D, we're going to get you, man. We're going to actually do a.
And then I came with the Time magazine, did a lot of stories on Kids Who Sell Crack Cover story, and Armed America for Time, and so many things. But I have been around the block many times, so I've shot over 300 or 400 posters for movies, from everything from I started with Boys in the Hood, and What's Love Got to Do with It, Minister Society. So all of those things that in. So I old school, go back many years. But
hey, D, I hate to break you up, man. Mike, you created a monster here. Okay, D.
No, I met D years ago through Willie Simmons, to another director. So
Willie Simmons is amazing. We should give a shout out to Willie. The memory of Willie.
D, listen. We got to bring in a few more people. So we're going to get back to you.
Rest in peace, Willie. I mean, Willie is inspiration to all of us.
Okay.
And without him, many of us wouldn't be where we are now, especially dealing with the military, especially dealing with Jackie Robinson. And to shout out to Kevin. He's been keeping this thing going for decades. And many props to him. Hard. Very difficult.
So D, we're going to bring a couple more people on. We have a 10-person limit. We have to upgrade our platform. But for right now, I want to introduce Professor Cordelia Shaw, and I'm going to have myself drop off and have Shane take over and introduce the new people coming in. So if you can, Dr. Shaw, if you can introduce yourself, please. Dr. Shaw, can you hear us?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
We hear you loud and clear now. You're live.
Fantastic. I hope I'm not creating an echo because I'm in my classroom right now. I'm about to start class momentarily.
You're good. You're good. So let's go. Let's go with your resume, your passions, all the things you can do to let us know in maybe 60 seconds or less, and we'll come back to you.
Okay, so there's a little bit of a delay, so apologies for that.
Okay.
I teach at Santa Monica College. I'm chair of communication and media studies. And it's funny that I see Michael Small on here because I met him in Atlanta decades ago when I used to live there. I love veterans. My father is a veteran. He was in the Vietnam War. And I understand the sacrifices that were made for many of the men who were serving during that time, especially men of color. So I really appreciate the effort, and I honor veterans on Veterans Day. And thank you for allowing me to join the conversation.
Red
Okay.
deal, yeah. I won't start, but I can't believe it's been decades. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, great. So I'm going to drop off, and we're going to bring some other people on. So Shane, take me out, or do I get out manually so that we
Well,
can bring people back? Or is anybody else in the backstage?
No, but if they reach out to you, let them know to come back in. We did upgrade the platform, so we should be able to accommodate 5 more.
Okay. Yeah, I've got 2 people that dropped off. I'm going to be on the line to bring them back in. So I think we're through with introductions. When they come back in, we'll have them introduce from the backstage to the front stage. But yeah, let's start the discussion right now. So let's go from the run of the show.
All right, perfect. I'm going to throw that on the screen. All right, so this is a show. I guess it's a great time to start playing the video.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear. To support and defend. The Constitution of the United States. Against all enemies. Foreign and domestic. And to bear true faith. And allegiance to the same. That I will obey. The orders of. The President of the United States. And the orders of. Those officers appointed over me according to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God.
We celebrate Veterans Day on the anniversary of the armistice that ended World War I. The armistice that began on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. The timing of this holiday is quite deliberate in terms of historical fact. But somehow it always seems quite fitting to me that this day comes deep in autumn when the colors are muted and the days seem to invite contemplation. It is, in a way, an odd thing to honor those who died in defense of our country, in defense of us, in wars far away. The imagination plays a trick. We see these soldiers in our mind as old and wise, but most of them were boys when they died, and they gave up 2 lives, the one they were living and the one they would have lived. When they died, they gave up their chance to be husbands and fathers and grandfathers. They gave up their chance to be revered old men. They gave up everything for our country, for us. And all we can do is remember. I will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. In memory of those who gave the last full measure of devotion may our efforts to achieve lasting peace gain strength. Let us make a vow to our dead. Let us show them by our actions that we understand what they died for. Strengthened by their courage, heartened by their value, and born by their memory, let us continue to stand for the ideals for which they lived and died.
In the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. I do not shrink from this responsibility. I welcome it. I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. We shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe to assure the survival and the success of liberty.
Wow. So Shane, a couple of the people have joined the backstage to the front stage. I get a little teary-eyed when I watch that video. I now want to introduce a really good friend and one of the key persons who are going to help us try and figure out how to bring apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship into the classrooms at the earliest possible age. And I want to have her introduce herself. But more importantly, again, please give her, all your attention and see if there's anything we can do in the next 20 minutes that she's got to get into work mode. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Charlotte Hindi Newbill.
Good morning, and for some, good afternoon. Thank you so much for that video. Amazing. First and foremost, appreciate Kevin always as you bring us together on important issues, and especially when it involves our students and children of the next generation, and just even able to experience that history that was just shared there. So I wanted to touch on a little bit. My name is Charlotte Hindi Newbill. As mentioned, I am so proud to be able to serve here in Los Angeles Unified School District as the board member here in Los Angeles. And as a educator of a couple decades, it is, just an honor to be able to serve students as well as my own. I have 2 school-age students. I am a mom of 2, a 10 and 13-year-old. I am a boy mom, and it is a great honor to be able to do this work alongside. And I appreciate Kevin always advocating for this work in the sense of pre-apprenticeship and, just making sure that our students are skilled and ready to serve and work. And so some of the things that I did want to share, just as I know time is of the essence, but wanted to just bring highlight to folks as far as I know there's probably a bunch of different kind of people on this call from all different walks of life. And in our schools from TK on to grade 12, we get the opportunity to expose our students to different careers and professions that exists, that inspires our students to want to do greatness in said professions. And so it's opportunity to open up the eyes of many of our students who don't get these chances, be it through via field trips that our younger students get to experience. And then when we get to secondary, they actually get to take on some of the roles. And then when they get to high school, they actually get to do some of the work, whether it's in internships and pre-apprenticeship, existing programs that already currently happen in our schools. We're proud to be able to work with some of our labor partners, with it, carpenters, electricians, to be able to do this work. But then also through our CTE programs, we get to expose our students to different career fields that may not be your typical. Maybe those that are doing things, say, that we're doing here behind the camera, editing, doing different works, which, you know, they wouldn't know existed unless exposed. So I'm not sure how much time I had to be able to share with you guys, but as a board member, we're here to definitely to build a conduit between partners, to bring greater enriched opportunities to our students. So not sure, Kevin, what else you would like for me to share is what we're doing in LA Unified, but that's kind of in a nutshell some of the things that we do get to offer.
Well, Charlotte, one of the things that I wanted to do with General Bray, he has actually taken out time to come to Compton High School from North Carolina. So he's been one of the biggest advocates for bringing some of the high notes of what service and the things that we espouse in our service to the service members that historically have been potentially left out of the curriculum and the lesson plans. I'd like to have General Bray talk to you about some of the things that he may have on his mind about bringing more focus into classrooms, either as ethnic studies or some experiences that could allow us to maybe bring something forward through Black History Month.
Great. Love it.
General Bray, go ahead.
Yeah, first of all of you, and Mrs. Newbill especially, I think I'm the only veteran that actually was in this august group, but I heard a lot of things to include on that video that's a significant misnomer, especially in today's day. I heard from one of the young men who said his father was principally against him joining the military, and while he respected the service members, he was concerned about it being a profession. There are 220 different things you can do in the military besides break things and kill people. I was an infantry airborne ranger, and I jumped out of airplanes, and I wanted to be that guy that you see on all those movies, because I came up in a time where my father couldn't do that. Have you ever heard the term fight to fight? I was the first significant generation to be able to make that change because of what happened with the Executive Order 9981. And I think that's an important date that every African American should understand for two reasons. It was a major shift. It was a major shift in our economics. It reflected the shift of the people that participated in World War II. It was the beginning of the rebellious link of the Civil Rights Act. It was the leadership that came from people like Medgar Evers, who wore the uniform. It was the push for the new election to be able to vote. It bore people like David Dinkins, who became the first mayor of New York. It bore the senator from Massachusetts. It was the shift of our thoughts, because all of a sudden we had been on that platform whereby we were performing on the same places in those different MOSs or military occupational specialties where we were competitive. We came out with musicians, entrepreneurs, even people like Bill Cosby was a spinoff of those platforms of competitive actions. One of the things I would also share with you, in fact, it's even documented that way because it was those people who pushed Martin Luther King Jr. and organized with the logistics, knowledge of logistics that gave us the Montgomery boycott that lasted over a year and sustained us through those time periods and the fight and gave us the, I'm going to use a French expression, coup de wheel, or the wheel with the organization to make it come to pass. That's powerful. And by the way, I heard something. You all saw those young men wearing a uniform, mostly Marines, and they were taking the oath of enlistment. And something I want everybody on this net to listen to, because the oath of enlistment tells a brand new soldier when he first comes in to obey the orders of the officers appointed over him and the President of the United States. That is the basic fundamental oath that we take. But as you advance and you learn more.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we hear you, Michael. We hear you, Smalls. We hear you. Sorry, General Bray.
That's okay.
And I wanted to say, General Bray, Charlotte has a few more minutes before she's got to jump into a call.
I'm going to step off. Stay with me for a second. This is really important because in this day and age, it's critical that you understand this. What you heard was an oath of enlistment. The oath of office of those officers is that their allegiance is to the Constitution, and they are required after education to follow the Constitution and read it and move it. And that's what soldiers really do. That free thinking that evolves. I'm going to pause there because I want you to understand those pieces, because what I want you to understand, they're not robots. And everybody doesn't just carry a rifle. They all do, but they don't just. Now I'll stop and I'll go from there.
Well, great, General Bray. I wanted to have this toss to Charlotte before she leaves, as to any thoughts and reflections you may have, Charlotte, about what tentacles we can bring into lesson plans, into activities for some of the classrooms that we have access to in South LA. But we'd like to, from your leadership position, understand what we can do to frame things that we would want them to take away from any exercises, especially during Black History Month.
Yes, well, definitely, during Black History Month, many of our school sites, because of the initiative of our Black Student Achievement Program, gets opportunity to do expansive celebrations during that time and ongoing. So it's not just Black History Month, but also, it's elevated during that time where we're providing, what others may not know, and giving that in the classroom, after school programs, sharing with them, those things where many of our school sites may not have large number of African-American students, but yet and still they get this exposure to historical figures. Each school has done different things, and so we embrace the opportunity for partnership, where many have come to different school sites, and be it culminating experiences at the end of the month or ongoing experiences throughout the week, where they're partnering at school sites. Those are all things that happen during the month of February. I mean, in our board office, we host a competition for essay where they're given a prompt, and those students that participate in that get their
Sure. Okay.
Yes. Can you hear me?
No, yeah, we can. You froze for a moment, but I was going to tell you, one of the biggest things you hit on already is the fact that people think Compton's Black, and that was one of the biggest shifts in my thought process. It is people of color, but not Black. And that's important. In fact, it changed the whole thinking. I'll tell you about that more later on in a different discussion. But it matters in the framing of all that we do, because this is an American issue. We are a diverse nation, and that's important, and they matter. And I can give you from a military perspective, I'm a paratrooper. In 18 hours from the time something raises its, I was trained to have 3,600 men ready to go anywhere in the world. I could go in my formation and find some American that knew something about anywhere that I was going to go. And your students in Compton gave me that power to realize that's part of the power of our nation.
Yeah.
We are doing something funky to all of us right now.
Okay, I think I heard something that was provocative, but maybe not. Maybe not. I want to see if we can get back with the time we have remaining. Shane, are you still? I don't see Shane anywhere on here, but we do have, Dr. Shane Hyman, if you can, with what time we have left, what are some of the things, some of the takeaways? And I want everybody to kind of chime in on this. What are some of the takeaways that we can take from this presentation and take and create a longer tail discussion so that we can deliver it in the classrooms, not just in Black History Month, but all throughout the year, so that, again, the students can learn, apply, and discourse about things they may not have ever known. So anything that we can get as sound bites, takeaways that we can use for further discussion. And I know, Shirlette, you have to leave, so I'm going to go with you first. Any thoughts or reflections about what we can do?
Well, I think one of the things, and I appreciate, just the input of how, the misnomers of educating our students and understanding what our military has done for us. And I think that's one area that, always seems to stand out as far as educating our students and our families in that regard. I think that's one thing that, for me, even hearing, the conversation today, that many may not understand. And then on top of that, just giving opportunity to partner. We're always looking for opportunities to partner with other entities that want to elevate the work in schools, because it's important. We're in a different time right now. But as people of color, as Black people, we continue to elevate and educate all the more. But I think, overall, we want to definitely continue our partnership. And that's what highlights for me as a takeaway. How can we partner to make sure that our students continue to get the information that they need in order to be successful?
Okay, great. I have two natural partners that I want to introduce next. Drew McClellan, can you talk about potential partnership of what you do with the high schools and the arts and media curriculum that you deliver on a daily?
Yes. Thank you, Kevin, and again, thank you all for your insights and experiences. As the chair of the Cinematic Arts Department at the LA County High School for the Arts, we are under the district of the LA County Office of Education, and our focus is preparing students for the media landscape that they're entering into. We're a CTE program, but our goal is to not only help students who want to get into the top liberal arts schools, film schools, USC, the UCLAs, NYUs, but also for those who want to go directly into the industry. And we do that by partnering and developing public-private partnerships. It's a lot of P's on that one. With institutions who also have the same alignment and goals, which is to get in front of the next generation of storytellers. We do that. We have a relationship with National Geographic, in which we have students work with students in STEM programs to tell stories about engineering, about environmental conservation, in terms of science and STEM. Oftentimes those students don't have the skill sets of understanding narratives and how to weave their story. They just do the important work that's usually scientifically backed and is binary. So putting those two different individuals together and those groups of students together, we're able to see some really incredible work come out of those programs and those initiatives. But our goal is to always figure out what are the stories that need to be told, how do we use the skills and develop the skills to tell them effectively so that they have an impact on the audience and can ultimately share for future generations the stories and the narratives that are going on today and be historical elements that we can look back on.
Great. Thank you, Drew. And Redelia, before you leave, any thoughts, reflections about how we can partner with Charlotte and Drew in creating, some standard for how these stories and these exercises can come out on the other side for consumption for everybody?
Hi, yes, I have a lot of ideas about that. At Santa Monica College, we have dual enrollment programs for high schools that we can partner with. And a lot of those courses are media literacy centric. So from theory classes to production classes, so students can be armed with the information on how to do that storytelling. So dual enrollment is a great way to partner with Santa Monica College or any of the community colleges in the area that teach media theory, media production to help guide the students in the storytelling, also advance them into their careers. And we are looking to be pre-apprenticeship, to be a part of pre-apprenticeship and apprenticeship programs. So please definitely connect with us. I teach in media production. As I said, I'm chair of communication and media studies department. And I am all in on us having our young people be more media literate and have an understanding of where they are in this world and how their voices are important to the change in the future of our society.
Great. Thank you, Redelia. One person I want to cite who is helping me with kind of the capstone of all things that we're doing in apprenticeship, pre-apprenticeship, history, media making is workforce placement, not development, but placement. Ted, any thoughts, reflections you have about how we can get speakers, workshops, curriculum into the schools about getting better prepared for getting in your industry, television and film?
Hello, everyone. A couple of things that I would add. My wife and I have been running the entertainment employment agency for about almost 40 years now. In addition to that, she created a program called EICOP. EICOP.org is a website if you're interested, EICOP.org, where we reach out to HBCUs. We bring about 100 students here every year for internships. Their housing is paid for, and all their internships are paid. We've been very successful with that here in LA. Also, we have a branch in Atlanta and New York as well. And what I found in my 40 plus years of running executive temps and then mentoring those students every Thursday night, we have what we call the speaker series, and we definitely can invite potentially some of the students who are at those schools and colleges and even Santa Monica, the selected ones that you like to actually come at LAUSD to kind of experience what that looks like. But we usually have speakers within the industry, from writers, directors, executive vice presidents of development and business affairs and all aspects of entertainment, of employment, to educate them on what's needed. What I found most recently that I feel is really important is students just don't understand how to conduct themselves in the workplace, how to interview for jobs. There is this entitlement attitude, and to really educate them on the needs and speaking to the need of the hiring employee. And so I feel like we have an expertise in that, and we'd love to be able to support you ladies in any way that I potentially can.
Okay, thank you, Ted. And we can go a little over, but I want to be able to get input from anybody else who can give us any thoughts or reflections about how we can better prepare our collective efforts to get into classrooms and create something that's sustainable for us to grow, our footprint on giving more information, more intel, and hoping students become more activists in doing research about these untold and maybe almost impossible to learn stories. So anybody else, just jump in.
Yes, sir. So I'm really grateful for this opportunity. Like I keep saying, I think a great idea would be, so for example, at my last semester at Pierce College, shout out Professor Eldridge, who was my communications teacher, and he gave me a lot of extra tips because I would bug him after class. I would bug him. And he made a funny joke. I don't know if you guys ever seen the TV show The Community, but he said, "Oh, like you remind me of like Troy and Jeff," and he's like, "You should start a little club." But it's funny. He did say actually, if you only have like, I think 5 people and you bring it to the community college, you can start a club. I think it'd be a great idea if we had a Dakar Foundation club or something at various community colleges, like anywhere we are accepted, or HBCUs as well. And with that Dakar Foundation club, people would be able to network. They could work on homework together, media stuff, anything that the Dakar Foundation and its partners have to offer. We could potentially have a representative for that and do outreach and get people to join the club. And then, yeah, in the future, we could channel that further into the Dakar Foundation and anywhere they want to go. But at least on the community college level, that's outreach for us. That's stability, and we're networking.
Great. Thank you, CJ. And I know we're rushing up against time, but one of the things we wanted to frame is Jackie Robinson, and wanted to recognize, I know, Charlotte, you have to go, but we want to really be able to get a soundbite or two from people about Jackie Robinson's known or unknown service before he became the superstar civil rights activist. So I'm just going to go around. Can anybody give us any reflections or thoughts about Jackie Robinson before Veterans Day? General Bray, any thoughts or reflections?
Yeah, I would tell everyone that, you know, I am, first of all, I was aware of Jackie Robinson's story for a long time, because Jackie Robinson is really not an anomaly, except in his excellence on the ball field. And I say that because many members of the NFL were actually in uniform while they were playing in the early days. Charlie Davis, and a lot of the Hall of Famers. You have members who actually wore that uniform. You know, you know that we had members like the tennis great Arthur Ashe, who wore the uniform. I mentioned a couple. The founder of Essence wore the uniform. And so our patriotism goes deep. The elevation is, if you look at any of our athletes, you look at, you know, the great brown bomber boxer, the first heavyweight that was recognized and accepted, that actually wore the uniform, Joe Louis. I say that to you because this is, you know, I love your term. It's called victory by valor. There are many who put that uniform on and serve this nation because they were doing it selflessly to send signals, knowing full well who they were. Jackie was an All-American at UCLA and multi-sports, by the way. His military service is what made him Branch Rickey's choice, because Branch knew that he had withstood a court-martial. That kind of stuff, our valor, our uncommon valor was actually common among the African Americans who served, because we showed a disproportionate loyalty and commitment, and the really bright stars knew they were being watched. We got it. We understood. If you look at World War II, there are a lot of stars that and Korean War that came out, and look at the early 60s and look at those championship football teams, you'll find many of them actually wore the uniform while they were playing in the NFL because the dollars weren't all that great at the time. They just loved the sport. And military service feeds an awful lot. I'm a former basketball player and have a 40-inch vertical. And I thought I would come in for 2 years and I would get out. And by the way, for all you artists out there, I was actually hired by Hallmark to be an illustrator. But there is a drug to being a soldier. You get to be physical, you get to think, and you become part of a team. And that is alluring once you touch it. Once you touch it. So again, I think Jackie should be a good entry point for the question of why they serve. You didn't bring this up earlier, but there's a movie called Love of Liberty that we produced in 2008 and 9 because I was part of your team, Kevin, that put that out. And it asked the question of love of liberty. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you to show this and let them look at that, because it will then start to make a little more sense as to why Jackie served. And it will show the eliteness of the African-American soldiers who participated from the very beginning. If I ask this group, this is a younger group in general, but how many of you all ever seen the movie Soldier Story? Anybody? I can't hear you, so please speak up.
Yes, I have.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, I encourage you to look at Soldier Story. And I'm sure, I thought for sure that I would hear from the gentleman who had done so many movies that he would have said yes. But Soldier Story asked it starts off with a murder.
Yes.
Okay. It starts off with
oh yeah.
It starts
I think D was in Soldier Story.
It starts off with the murder, and I'm going to tell the end for those who haven't seen it. But essentially, it's all about not being embarrassed by somebody who will not represent the best of the African American. And the sergeant had taken it upon himself to be the executioner of those who couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people forget that in World War I, we first came back. How many of you heard the song, "How You Gonna Keep Them Down on the Farm?" After they've seen? Well, that song was about the belief that after World War I, we're going to change this world. No, what happened is the folks in the South dug in. And they started becoming more brutal because they knew that was going to be something else. I encourage you also to read the 24th Infantry's massacre down in Houston, just outside of Houston, because they were tired of it. And they hadn't even been to war yet, but they were learning the disciplines of service. And then that's why World War II was so significant for the Black soldier. That's why the Civil Rights Act took a whole new level, because now they were armed, we were more educated, we were actually coming back with those skills, knowledge, and abilities, and we were tired. We were tired, we're going to take it anymore. And then we became more educated. Watts is a perfect example of what was happening with the education and with the housing market. We did all those things as part of it. Your military, I have another story I tell about how the West was really won. And I saw someone talk about Buffalo Soldiers earlier. There's so much to really connect this nation, the advancement of the minority, because it's not just Black folks, but it is the minorities, the breakup, the hegemony of the United States because of the soldier. So anyhow, I'm going to pause there, but like I said, and I open the door to any who want to talk about it. And for me, it's not just history; it's my life. I've been living for 1/5 of the United States history. I served for almost 12% of his existence in uniform. And moreover, I'm from the South. I'm a guy who, in going into his sixth grade year, was still drinking from separate water fountains. So I've done forensics on how I might have thought, only to be 21 years old and having men who are twice my age of all colors listening to me talk and think and be empowered to do it.
Okay. Well, General Bray, I have Professor Shaw. She's got to go teach a class, but she had a comment about Jackie Robinson that's burning in her pocket. So I wanted to let her chime in before she teaches this class, and then I'm going to ask everybody else before they leave to give us a comment about Jackie. Go ahead, Professor Shaw.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this conversation this morning. Kevin, I really appreciate you. And just wanted to share that I'm from Daytona Beach, Florida, which is the home of Bethune-Cookman University, which was founded by Mary McLeod Bethune as Bethune-Cookman College. And Jackie Robinson has a very special place in our hearts because of Mary McLeod Bethune, he was able to do spring training at City Island, which is now called the Jackie Robinson Park. If we know, Florida is very much a state during that time period of the 40s that was highly segregated. And because of her influence in the community, she was able to lobby for him to play on the field and for it not to be segregated. So that he played with the AAA Montreal Royals, and then he was then made into the Brooklyn Dodgers top farm team that next year. So she was pivotal in him becoming a part of the major leagues, as well as because of segregation, him and his wife and children they stayed with her, at times when they had to travel through Florida because, of course, Black people couldn't stay in the same places as whites during that time period. So again, Jackie Robinson, very special place in our hearts in Daytona Beach, Florida. And later in 72, he got an honorary doctorate from Bethune-Cookman College. And thank you for taking a moment just to remind everybody about how we all work together in community to support each other.
Wow. Thank you very much, Brigadier. That was very impactful. Will Rowe, I'm going to ask you thoughts and reflections on Jackie Robinson on this Pre-Veterans Day conversation.
Well, thank you. I have a couple general comments first. I want to thank General Arnold Gordon Bray for his dedication and leadership and his comments today. And my general comments before we get to Jackie Robinson are that less than 1% of the country today support our military, and most, if not all of those that support our military today are from families that were in the military before. So that leaves over 99% of the population that have varied or limited knowledge of our military and veterans. So there's just so much opportunity to educate, and that's what we're trying to do here. Educate our communities, our schools, our students, people of all ages about the military and veteran contributions through sharing content. And we've talked about in the schools, and we've talked about storytelling, movies, videos, Veterans Day events, books, social media. And there's so many other ways we can share this content. We don't have time to get into them, but I definitely believe that kids should join a veteran organization and that schools should partner with local VFWs and invite veterans to come in and speak to them. There's so many different things. But at the end of the day, there's so much content, but people don't know about it. They don't know about Jackie Robinson. They don't know about all the stories from the Revolutionary War up to the present, and especially the roles of people of color. The Buffalo Soldiers, the Harlem Hellfighters, the 688, the Montfort Point Marines, the Tuskegee Airmen. We talked about Executive Order 9981 and the integration or the desegregation of the military in 1948. And there's just so many people that come to my mind that I want to talk about. But for Jackie Robinson, he's right up there with Willie Mays for me. Because when I was a kid, I grew up in Boston, and Willie Mays was my favorite Red Sox player. Jackie Robinson, I knew about as I grew up. I knew he served in the Army. And I remember his stories about Brooklyn Dodgers. I remember him being the Hall of Fame, Baseball Hall of Fame. And I remember when he died. And all I can say is I'm thankful that we're celebrating him again today. and all of those that served, especially those that are just not well known. And so let's keep doing it. Thanks very much.
Wow, thank you. I don't know, Ted, if you can share any thoughts or reflections about Jackie before we break.
Well, briefly, I would add, I guess in sharing my thoughts about Jackie, I have to share my thoughts about Rachel, because I think women are really the backbone that provide us the opportunity to go and explore the things that our heart desires. And as a result of that, Jackie's name becomes great, and Rachel's there, supporting him. And so my hat's off to Rachel. I met Rachel a little over 10, 15 years ago at Dodger Stadium. I did a game honoring the Negro League players, where we flew out 50 Negro League players, and those who recently retired from the major leagues played in honor of the Negro League players, including myself, who had a professional baseball career. And there was an evening that the Dodgers invited me back out, and in the Dodgers dining hall, there was Rachel, and she was sitting alone, and there were people wanting to come up to her, and one guy gets to her before I was able to say hi to her, and all he wanted really was an autograph. And so, when we did the game of the century, we were honoring the Negro League players. So of course we were honoring Jackie, and I introduced myself to Rachel, and it was clear that she really didn't want to talk to this person, and she turned and said hello to me, and then I thanked her for the event, for Jackie and what they did, and for the event that we did, and reminded her that she remembered, and she basically kind of shooed the other guy away because he just wanted an autograph. But we talked a little bit about, the commitment that Jackie made, and the what it required of him to do that. And so I'm really learning the power of women that I think is often overlooked, because we'll get the glory as men sometimes. But the strength she had, knowing that her children's lives was in danger, Jackie's life was in danger on a daily basis, and to encourage him to push. And what he did was very dangerous, not only being in the military, but definitely even more dangerous when he entered into, as the first African-American to play in Major League Baseball. So I'm just so thankful, as I mentioned that day at Dodger Stadium, for what Jackie has done and for his contribution. And while we have General Bray, I just want to say to you, I didn't tell you, but thank you for your service. Michael Smalls, thank you for your service. And value, brothers, appreciate you, brothers, for serving. 30 plus years is amazing. And I know that the freedom that I have to do business and to do what I'm doing is a result of the service that you guys have provided, and for changing the culture of this nation that provides African Americans a chance to do things that we normally, and back in your day when you were coming up, didn't have a chance to do. So thank you, fellas. Appreciate it.
Great. I'm going to now flip to retired Captain Michael Smalls. You dropped out of there for a few minutes, and General Bray didn't see you, so he referred to himself as the only veteran. But now you're back in living color. Okay, so sir, what can you tell us? Any thoughts, reflections? We're kind of running up against the hour. But Jackie Robinson, what
No, just great impact. I came through Reserve Officer Training Corps, an undergrad, to become an officer. Colin Powell, but before him, Jackie Robinson, because I had the opportunity to see the court-martial of Jackie Robinson before. I knew about him as a baseball player, but that movie brought home a lot of facts that no one really knew. It was an intentional piece of content. Colin Powell was in living color. I'm from New York. He went to City College. I went to SUNY. So I'll just say content matters. Storytelling definitely matters. Branch Rickey said I chose Robinson. He had, 4 or 5 other candidates that he was going to bring in, but because of definitely, I think General Bray said it earlier, his discipline, definitely because he was in service, but his ability to control himself, he needed a guy who wasn't going to do who's that receiver from the Steelers who's wilding out right now? Whatever his name is.
Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown, yeah. So, it was important that Jackie's demeanor, his temperament, plus his freakish athletic ability. So I'm an athlete. I did athletics while on active duty, part of the Army sports program while serving as an officer on active duty throughout Asia, Korea. My sport was taekwondo, but I'll just really bring it home and just say we've got to then have deliverables and create the content, create more content. Why is Jackie Robinson not known? Let's just push. Let's not worry about why. Well, not worry, but we know. I think we all know the reasons why. Him and piggybacking on General Bray's content, all the other NFL and other African American, Hispanic athletes from all other sports are not as well known or celebrated or more immortalized in statues and so forth. I'm a board member of the Roberto Clemente Foundation, so Kevin knows about that. And I just kind of, because of Kevin, I got involved in the Roberto Clemente Foundation. He was a U.S. Marine. A lot of people didn't know that. So Jackie, Roberto was a black Puerto Rican. He was so if you looked at him, you would just think he, him and Willie Mays and Jackie and all those guys, they just all looked like they were African Americans, but he was Puerto Rican. So the same challenges they faced, whether from the Caribbean or from the U.S., they all faced together. But I want to just say also, let's have maybe a separate business development meeting where we just really super hyper focused on deliverables, time frames. Let's take the next few quarters of 2026 and say, okay, what's the main goal? I know getting into those universities and having a verified curriculum throughout the nation, and then creating content. I know Love of Liberty, I helped, well, not helped, it was already done by the time I got it, but I try to work with, TV1 and other networks to try to get that on the air years and years ago. So thank you guys for creating that. But let's form maybe a business development, really hyper-focused committee to just say, okay, it's November now, for the next few quarters, where do we want to, how can we move the needle? How can we literally have deliverables tied to hard stop dates to say this has to happen, this must happen, how do we get there? I was a Turner Entertainment employee, CNN, and after active duty, after the Olympics, after I met Kevin, and I learned the power of content, the power of storytelling, and through broadcasting. So let's go, let's do that. Let's it's like, it's interesting. I'm a Steelers fan. They created a whole salute to service thing. They had it on last night. And so I don't know. I don't know. We could talk about it offline, but someone said there was only 1% of the U.S. that supports the military. I have to beg to differ. Maybe because I live in Georgia. Yeah, maybe 6 or 7 huge military bases, but there's more U.S. There's more Americans that support the military. Do we want to get more? Absolutely, but I believe Dakar can move the needle, but we've got to be intentional, hyper focused, and create some deliverables in the next 2 quarters, really, that just drive it home. So that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, and Michael, just a correction. I didn't say 1% support. I think have served. I think we all need to support their own.
Okay. You actually said support, but I know what you meant. I know
Yes, sir.
okay.
Yeah, and there's so
Oh,
many
okay. I was like,
need to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, awesome.
Michael's a Steeler fan, so he takes everything literally. So
absolutely right, exactly. I'm from Schenectady, but I'm a Steelers fan. I go figure.
Wow.
I'm a Steelers fan too. You're in good company, Michael. You're in good company.
And guys, if we rifle through, Drew McClellan, is there any chance to get your last reactions to Jackie? And I'm going to punctuate it by saying the 2028 Olympics will be here sooner than we think. And there'll be people coming in from all over the world. How do we take any opportunity to make Jackie more of a commodity that people in LA can embrace? Because a lot of people, New York has got it. They got the foundation there. They've got the museum there. They're doing things that I think LA could take a page from. So any thoughts about how we socialize Jackie as one of LA County's favorite sons?
Yeah, Jackie Robinson, born in Pasadena. If you ever go to Pasadena, Old Town Pasadena, right outside City Hall, there's some great great statues of him, and I don't think people know that enough. Enough people know that. So, with the Olympics coming, which is the ultimate display of athletic prowess, I think Jackie Robinson's name should be, heralded as one of LA's favorite sons, Pasadena specifically, and what he's done is his name transcends. He's one of those names that transcend the sport. When you think about Jackie Robinson, yes, you think about baseball, but you also think about breaking barriers, and you think about courage. So all these elements are, the necessary requirements to be great, and he represents greatness. So however we can continue to figure out ways to get his name out there, get his story, continue to show all the different aspects. And Kevin, thank you for putting this together to talk about his military service, the many multiple layers of him as an individual and why he is so great and still heralded in our culture and in history. I think we need to continue to celebrate that and make more generations aware of his contributions to the world and society at large.
Great.
Awesome. Kevin, just real quick, I got to run too. If you could share my link to I have a TV series I'm producing about PTSD and veterans, just so veterans can get help with PTSD. But if you could share the link.
Put that in the chat. Put that in the chat. Can you put that in the chat?
Put the link in the chat?
Yes. And
if I can figure it out.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, you give it to me, and I'll make sure I socialize with everybody. I'm gonna go with CJ and then D, and then we're gonna close it out with Dr. Shane Hyman. So, CJ, any thoughts, reflections about how we can get Jackie Robinson more, let's say, just framed for discussion, and then let people draw their own conclusions about who he was, especially
admittedly. Right now, I'm like really subjective in my head, like what I want to do compared to like general. So for honesty, I'm thinking of making a song called Jackie Robinson. That's the only thing, that's what I can do besides doing research, making a song and whatnot. Cause like, for example, in my indie label, my music, I have an artist named King Louie. And on my third album, I have a track called Bobby Brown, and I remixed it. And I told him, I was like, hey, bro, you got to be the Bobby Brown of the group. I mean, I hope he doesn't take it too crazy, but I was like, hey, I was giving him like the history of Bobby Brown and why he was great and why he was dope and why I wanted to honor him, but without the negativity. Like I wanted to embody that Bobby energy in Jesus Christ's name, amen. And Jackie Robinson is way like easier to do that. There's not much to like kind of ignore. There's way less aggression. The aggression is more so just honorable. So admittedly, from my perspective right now, my first thought was like, oh, I need to research, write a song on Jackie Robinson, and then any collaborators I have, give them that background so their hooks and verses are aligned with that. And then that's the easiest thing to promote from where I'm at right now. There's also articles. There's so many other things we can do. But that's like my specialty. That's just like second nature.
Man, thank you for that, bro. I mean, that's again, that's your wheelhouse. And again, it's going to take all kinds of people playing different positions on the team. So again, thank you for that. D. Stevens, I got to keep it to about 60 seconds because we're running up against.
Right, I just want to say that, like I told you earlier about the hero and making Jackie a hero. When traveling with Chad Bozeman, playing Jackie in 42. I mean, every weekend, he would offer his services to, hey, what you want to do this weekend, D? And then one time I took him to the, Flushing with Hank Aaron and shot that picture. But he studied. He went to Bessie Smith Museum. And he talked about hero. Before he was Black Panther, before he was Thurgood Marshall, he was Jackie Robinson. He took it very seriously. He studied very, very hard, and he motivated. That's the third movie I've done where you have the scene of Jackie and Branch working together. One I did Blair Underwood and Soul of the Game. I think it was another movie I did that, again, that same scene about who is Jackie. And Jackie and I actually paralleled. I mean, I went to UCLA. I lived in Pasadena. And so our commonality was awesome. And like Brother Sid, the thing I was so impressed with is Rachel. Rachel I had a conversation with the other day. And I gave her on her 98th birthday a present of a photograph of her with the Dodgers we used in 42 down in Atlanta. So I would go to New York and gave her on her 98th birthday this picture of her being surrounded by the Dodgers of that era. and she's still strong, 103 years old. 2 days ago, I talked with the Jackie Robinson Foundation, and they're still supportive. But what's missing is we're not screaming out at the top of our lungs is that before Black Panther, the hero, was there was Jackie Robinson, who helped make Black Panther. You can take that to the bank with Chad and other people who played that part. And if we get that across to people, they understand. When I do a show and I put my reality picture in photojournalism versus my Ice Cube pictures and What's Love Got to Do With and everything else, students are gravitated toward the Ice Cube and What's Love and this and that, but they come back to, wow, this is reality. This is in Iraq. This is in Belfast. They're fascinated by that, and they like that picture. And I wish I could send a screenshot of some of the pictures we took with Chad playing Jackie, because he's off the set. He was much more powerful than he was on the set. And but I'm just saying that he was a hero, and he appreciated being a hero.
Right.
Dr. General Bray, again, thank you for your service, sir.
No,
Great.
thank you. I appreciate you. And to all of you, seriously, to all of you, I put some stuff in the, I hope y'all can see what's in the chat. But to all of you, you all are more powerful than I am, because I just know you all can show. And I ask you to look at that and look and think about that. You all get the chance. All of you can change the narrative, because you all are the new etchings on the walls of the cave. You all are the new painters of history. And you can take the words, make them alive. You know, we all know Jesus Christ was born in the Middle East. He did not look like Western Europeans.
What, not blonde-eyed, blue-eyed, and blonde hair?
But so you can, I'm serious, you can take the written word and then make the written word match what history and forensics really tell us. And then you take those words and then tell those stories and tell them, you know, I always talk about the why. You all can answer the why. You can tell the why. You can make sure that the kids know, because my last story, and I'm going to stop, Kevin. Imagine for a moment that Colin Kaepernick really knew that Crispus Attucks was the first, and documented, stated by John Hancock, first African-American to die for this nation. And the top and the 13th stripe on that flag is for the blood of those who died for this idea of freedom. We own that flag. We're in that flag because it's about our Constitution. It's about the vision. That's what I fought for. That's what the guys in my units died for. That's the power. So when someone says, that's not mine, that's mine. I'm the 8th star on that flag. I'm a South Carolinian. I'm screwed up and I'm good. Okay, so I'll leave that there.
Okay. Thank you, General Bray. And Dr. Shane Hyman, if you can, take us home with any thoughts or reflections, especially the idea of a hero. So you're going to be the final word for today.
All right. Thank you very much, Kevin. And before I jump into that, I did want to recognize our audience comment. We had someone, Patrice M08, who gave some facts. Black women who were faculty and staff at Alabama State University in Montgomery were the ones who organized the bus boycott. So appreciate the audience interaction. And of course, as we continue to move forward, we'll garner some more two-way engagement with the audience.
Well, and Shane, I wanted to make one comment. Colonel Bowens shouted us out. She couldn't join us live, but she's in the audience. So thank you again, Colonel Bowens, for your service. And again, Shane, take it away.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And then, yes, and thank you again, General Bray, for your service and your continued service. We always love hearing your wisdom and your feedback, as well as thank you very much, Michael Smalls, for your service and your contribution on today's convening. Definitely agree with having that subcommittee and making some more plans and direction for the future, which kind of leads into my closing remarks, which, I feel like this is an opportunity for pedagogy to meet technology. And, you know, for us to really organize the content, as we're saying, and how we distribute it in a way that is multifaceted, where people are able to learn the knowledge and then apply the knowledge in some sort of activity. And to do that all in the controlled technological environment where we're data collecting and proving both on a quantitative and qualitative basis what it is that we're pushing. Now, when I say qualitative and quantitative, I'm now talking about the hero dynamic that Kevin has structured. And, you know, we have an opportunity to develop a full force model to examine and study that as a phenomenon. And as we engage with the community and data collect, then we can continue to push it out that way, right? Which leads me to the final remarks about Jackie Robinson. And, you know, and as it relates to the lack of awareness of his service to this country as a veteran. And, you know, I think that also highlights some of the cultural norms that we're experiencing where, you know, entertainment and sports arenas are more celebritized, you know, by comparison, when you think about the heroes who serve this great nation. And that's why I love the work that Kevin is spearheading through the Dakar Foundation, because, you know, as we collaborate and as we, you know, communicate and build systems to close the gap of people's awareness, you know, this is a goal that we can accomplish together. So, you know, I feel like, you know, making the awareness spread through edutainment, you know, us finding that fit, you know, that sweet spot of making it entertaining, but also educating folks. And again, not just codifying, you know, the knowledge, but operationalizing it as well and being able to track all of that. So it's just an honor and a privilege. And I appreciate everybody for attending. And let's look forward to continuing to do this and to do this more frequently. And I close with that. Thank you very much, Kevin.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you again for everybody that took time out to be on the call, on the on the StreamYard cast or the YouTube live stream, and everybody who's in the audience. The longer tail discussion will create, I think, direction for us to start working in the classrooms and the production spaces towards sharing things during Black History Month and beyond. So I look forward to the engagement. So again, in advance of Veterans Day, again, thank you everybody who served on the call and people out there who served. Thank you for your service. Goodbye.
Ooh,
Thank you, Kevin.
Amen.
Hey, Michael, I sent you my phone number. Give me a call, please.
absolutely, sir. Yes, sir. I saw that. And I put my link to my series in the chat for everyone as well. Awesome, Kevin.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
God bless you all.
God bless you.